Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, back with some Dark Shadows videos here for you tonight. Two to be exact. This is my first one. So, why are there no ghosts that haunt the dock in Collinsport? That is a question I don't think I can even answer really, but I'll try. Um, I was more wondering this amongst myself today. I'm like, you know what? There's just places we don't see ghosts, and the dock is one of them. And here's the thing. Keep in mind the ghosts we've seen in Dark Shadows. Okay, we've seen the ghost of Josette. I mean, we've seen a ghost appear in the Great House. You could dispute whether that's Josette or not, and that would be fine by me. Josette appears right out of a goddamn portrait in the old house. Sarah Collins appears down in the basement today. Yeah. So you meet Sarah down in the basement of the old house. Now, I would presume that because you met the other two ghosts, where they primarily stayed, or you first saw the characters in 1795. And Widow's Hill is a distance from the old house. And now what's interesting is Sarah dies in the great house, but her life was primarily spent in the old house. So I think that's why she more to me she more haunts everywhere. Like the ghosts aren't limited to where they haunt. Like Sarah, we see her in the great house. We see her talk to David. We see her in the cemetery. We see her in the old house. We see her with Cliff Sanitarium. I would presume that if a ghost did haunt, sorry, if a ghost did haunt the docks, that they would not be confined to that specific area, but that's where they may begin to haunt you, or you might see one. Am I shocked that they didn't never introduce a ghost in the docks? Yeah, I mean, because there have been characters who've been killed in Dark Shadows down by the docks. 1795, the Collinsport Strangler. Anyone? Barnabas? I mean, he was the Collinsport Strangler. He killed some prostitutes. Oh my god. Now, one of them, when I want to say when he comes back to 1796, he's down by the docks and there's this girl, and he kills her for sure. But you see, like he comes in, I think it's in the Great House, and there's this bloody hand. I'm like, and it's clearly gonna be the dead body. He just killed this girl. It's like, who's messing with Barnabas? Is somebody like, what is this? And here it's Angelique. Angelique was in disguise. She was the woman. She like did some sort of transformation spell or something. And it's like that's what shocked me because I thought, man, is this a ghost come to confront Barnabas from beyond the grave here? I mean, we've already, and here's why I thought this. We've already seen Sarah confront him before. I mean, if you think prior to 1795 or even 1796, Sarah visits Barnabas in the old house and sort of confronts him. So I thought that's what we were gonna get, but no. To my surprise, we get Angelique and who's messing with Barnabas. So that is someone who's messing with him. I honestly think the reason we don't get a ghost it, at the docks is not because they couldn't think of one or think of how to do it. It simply wasn't needed at the time, and it wasn't. Look, Dark Shadows had a ton of ghosts. I'm not saying they couldn't have used one. And keep in mind, just because we don't see a ghost be used on the show or a ghost appear at the docks, it doesn't mean there isn't one there. I mean, because with ghosts and dark shadows, they run hand in hand. I will say that if do any of the three or the prostitutes that Barnabas killed? Do any of them haunt? Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do haunt the docks. I mean, they were murdered there. Again, like I said, the reason we're not, I think we didn't get Ghost. I think the reason we don't get one is simple. It just, other than it's not needed, it's there's just not one there that they want to pull off right now. And that might sound lazy, but I don't think it is. I think really, if you're looking at the writers, you have more than enough Ghost. Could you have pulled one later on? Sure, absolutely. They could have revisited that at any time, and they still look. They still could. I mean, if this sequel series happens, we could get a Ghost down by the docks. Um, because let's be honest, when we get into records of who's been killed and who's died, do we honestly all think those records are complete or not altered? I would assure you they probably are. That we probably there's probably people that have died down in them docks. Not all prostitutes, mind you. Maybe there's some sailors whose boats just didn't make it to the port, and instead of haunting the sea, they haunt that area. Who knows? I mean, it's a possibility when you think about it. And could I see that being the case? Could I see, them having these kind of ghosts? Sure. I mean, look, Dark Shadows was a gothic soap opera that really knew how to build ghosts and build. Yes, they built the living characters really well, but they built the undead, the supernatural characters, and the undead characters just as greatly. I think one of the most underrated things about Dark Shadows is its ghost, um, because that's what really. Look, I watched the show from the beginning, and yeah, Victoria Winters is my favorite character. But what really interested me in the show wasn't just Victoria; it was the ghosts themselves and what they would do. I mean, I did a video once. The supernatural had use for the living. Well, it did. I mean, there's a moment when Josette Collins, Josette Dupre Collins, is pretty much, well, not pretty much, is using Victoria to basically counteract the Phoenix. I mean, she's dropping hints like, oh, like smell of jasmine, anything she could do to get Vicky to go to a place and like, okay, you need to look up information, and not necessarily telling her that fact, but Vicky figuring out for herself. Vicky was not a dumbed down character in my opinion. Again, that's how I view her, but I don't view Vicky as a dumbed down character. There were things she had to look into. And really, if Vicky had known too much information, her character probably would have been killed off. Um, sorry, guys, I'm a bit sick. Um, sorry, but now is there a character who maybe saw a ghost and didn't know about it? I wonder how many ghosts Sam Evans ended up speaking to, either down by the docks or on Widow's Hill, and just did not know he was speaking to a ghost. Think of how many times you saw Sam Evans in the Blue Whale. He's coming out. It's late at night. There's probably someone standing by the docks, and he's probably so drunk he's talking to this person who he thinks is alive. And think of how sometimes the ghost would appear like a person. Look at Sarah. I mean, she was a person, but she appears like an actual. She doesn't appear as like a form where she's moving through walls, where she's not appearing as a glowing form. She's appearing as a solid person, and it's like that was amazing to me. So I could see Sam standing down by the dock talking to this ghost who he thinks is a person, and he's so drunk he doesn't notice her clothes. Um, I could see that. I mean, why not? Now, I hope I I hope I explained that really, really well. Look, there are other places in Collinsport that you don't see ghosts. I mean, you don't see one. Um, you don't see one in the sheriff's office in the beginning. You don't. Now you do see the ghost of Josette down in the basement distracting the sheriff, and that's not the same thing. My favorite thing that ever happened in the jail cell was Barnabas saving Quentin's behind when he was the werewolf. Sorry. But again, that's not a ghost, that's an undead vampire. Um, did Bill Malloy's ghost haunt the cannery? I'm gonna tell you something. I think Bill Malloy's ghost still haunts that cannery to this very day, even though his murder's been put to justice, so to speak. Because where did Bill Malloy spend a lot of his life? The Collins Cannery. It would not shock me. I know they don't show that in Dark Shadows, him haunting the cannery necessarily, but it would not shock me. Sorry, if Bill Malloy's ghost did haunt the oh god haunt the cannery. I can't talk. God damn it. Um, it just wouldn't. Most shocking ghost appearance. Oh my god, I'm trying to think of the most shocking. Still, to me, Sarah is still shocking to me because I was not expecting a kid ghost. I just wasn't. And Dark Shadows was is gonna do this again down the road with some kid ghost, but it's really when I say Dark Shadows was one of the best written television shows, if not the best. It really was. I mean, the writers knew what the hell they were doing, and so did the actors and actresses. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I got one last video to do. You guys have a great night.